Well, hello, thank you for joining me today again on the Church History Trail. You're very welcome to the programme, and we're continuing here in GLENAVY in County Antrim. And I want to talk to you about the connection with the Moravians and GLENAVY village. Now, the Moravians are the ancient Protestant Episcopal Moravian Church, as they're also known. It's actually the oldest Protestant denomination in the world, and they trace their history right back to the Bohemian priest John Huss, who was burnt at the stake on the 6th of July 1415 in Constance, a city in the Holy Roman Empire back then. Today it's now in modern day Germany. Now, John Huss himself was from Husinec in Bohemia, and Husinec in English means Goose Town, and John, of course, was burnt at the stake 6th of July 1415, and that's actually where we get the term "your goose is cooked." If you've heard that term before, well, that's where it comes from John Huss of Goose Town, or Husinec. Now, there had been at one time anyway, a society here in GLENAVY of the Moravians. And of course, John Seneck done much to spread the gospel, and he also done a big work spreading Moravian doctrine. So John Seneck, he was a gifted Moravian preacher, and he preached to thousands in a large field at GLENAVY on the 27th of September 1750. So he's certainly a big name amongst the Moravians, and it was the first time that John had ever preached in GLENAVY. Now, John continued to draw large crowds here, where he preached them from time to time in a barn and also in a corn mill. Now, a Mr. Gorman offered to convert a barn into a chapel, and the offer, of course, was gladly accepted. And so the renovation work on the barn began on the 11th of March 1751. So soon a Moravian chapel was built, also a dwelling house, and a garden sprung up as well. Now, more than 800 people actually showed up on the opening day for the dedication of the building. So John Seneck was at first a preacher under the Reverend John Wesley, and then under George Whitefield, and then in 1745 he joined the Moravians. So John Wesley himself had been saved through the ministry of a Moravian preacher in a Moravian meeting in 1738 in England, and it came to be known as his Aldersgate Street experience. And so this is the Methodist Church today that's in GLENAVY. It says Jesus Christ is Lord, GLENAVY Methodist Church. So there's a couple of plaques, but they're hard to make out. So this is the first one. I'll try and make it out to you the best I can. So it's basically in memory. This memorial stone, sorry, that's what it is. This memorial stone was laid by Miss Johnson, GLENAVY, October, and that looks like 1894 to me. It certainly looks like 1894, but it was laid by Miss Johnson, GLENAVY, 10th of October 1894. So this church here dates from 1894, and there's another plaque. Now the gates are locked, so I can't get in, but there's another plaque here at the side of the church. And all I can make out in that is primitive, but of course, so this must have had a connection at one time at least with the primitive Methodists, because like other denominations, of course, Methodism had their rifts and their splits. Now, today the GLENAVY Moravian Chapel, of course, is no more. It was demolished, and in its place in 1870 was built a Protestant hall on its very site, and this is the building here. So I'm just going to take a wee seat here and zoom in and let you see that. So this is the actual site where the chapel, the Moravian Chapel Church, whatever you want to call it, but that's certainly the site of where it was, just here. Now, the foundation stone of this hall was laid by the very Reverend Dean Stannis, who was the minister of the nearby Ballindy Parish Church for a time. And I've done a wee video on the Ballindy Parish Church, so you'll get that in when I haven't got the playlist up yet, but I'm going to put that up of the Ballindy churches. You've got the medieval church, Ballindy. You've got the middle church of Ballindy, which was the Bishop Jeremy Taylor's church in the 17th century. And then you've got the modern day parish church of the 19th century, and that's where Stannis, the Reverend Stannis, was the minister for a while. So it was laid, the foundation stone here of this hall was laid by him, and the hall was officially opened then on the 6th of July 1872. So although the date there says 1870, that's when the foundation stone was laid, but it wasn't actually opened until 1872. Now, the Honourable Edward O'Neill MP, who was actually the grandfather of Terence O'Neill, who was the 4th Northern Ireland Prime Minister. He was also the leader of the Ulster Unionist Party. So the hall was officially opened on the 6th of July 1872 by the Honourable Edward O'Neill. And as I say, he was the grandfather of Terence O'Neill, who was Prime Minister. So you see there it says GLENAVY in that hall there. And that's King Charles III. That's the King's Coronation 2023. And it says there King Charles III. And then it says Protestant Hall. In 2012, the hall was targeted in 2 paint bombings and also an arson attack, which of course were motivated by sectarianism, unfortunately. But I can remember that. I remember seeing the hall. There was paint on the. It wasn't too bad, but you could see the paint in part of the building and also on the tarmac, because I used to work here in GLENAVY on the main street, litter picking, and I noticed it. So there you go, folks. This is the site of where the Moravian Chapel was, but it was replaced by this building here. And as I say, the foundation stone was laid in 1870, and you'll see a lot of posters up. There's a poster there, and that's because we have an election coming up. So that's why those posters are up, because we have an election coming up. So there you go. So thanks for watching, and God bless.